leaving winter behind, our evenings can still get a little chilly. So here with cozy, warm, beautiful quilts is designer Sarah Gunn, who joins me again. Now, quilts are always going to have a place, I think, in our lives because they are functional. But they are beautiful, and they are art, especially when they're made by hand or with love. So you've brought a gorgeous selection in for us to talk about today.
Yeah, I always loved quilts, and I grew up in a house full of them. My grandmother was a quilt maker, and so even when we go visit my mom every summer for vacation, every one of the beds has one of my grandmother's quilts on it, and I actually brought in mine. So when we were all children, my brother and sister and I each got a personalized quilt made by her. So my sister got leaves, I think, and my brother got sailboats, and then I was really into Holly Hobby, so I got I got a Holly Hobby quilt. And just, you're right, they are art, and they were all handmade. Wow. And you can see the detail that went into it. And generally, traditional quilts are made from several different patterns of fabric, sewn together, often by hand. My grandmother would just use like old dresses and blouses and things like that and just repurpose them into quilts. And each one of those details is all sewn in, and then often they would add extra details with some stitching. So I don't know if you can make it out here, but there's almost like a diamond stitch on the polka dot squares as well. And that just adds another dimension. They were really labor intensive, right? And you can still get traditional quilts today, but they're going to be quite expensive, right? Just because of the labor and the work that goes into them. But the great thing is, a lot of shops will have now what we call whole cloth quilts at a much better price point. And what that basically means is they print the pattern on the fabric already rather than sewing in all the details. And then the way they make it feel like a quilt is with all of the stitching.
Before you even get to one of these, the first thing I thought about Holly Hobby is that, oh my gosh, she's so pristine, and you've had her for so many years, and then you said, no, she's not. But this is the joy.
Not really.
Look at this. I think this is beautiful. When it's worn, it's used, you probably rub this against your little nose. It's gorgeous. And I think that's why it's so nice. You can take your kids' old t-shirts and their onesies, and you can actually have them repurposed into a quilt. I'm still in love with the quilt made by a coworker here at Cityline for my daughter.
That's incredible.
And she used it, and it smells amazing still, and it's been washed and, you know, spit up on it. But it's a beautiful keepsake. And I think that's what's nice about a piece that's made that's a piece of art.
I think so too. You know what? And I have sons.
Your grandma's in there.
They've slept with this quilt.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I think that's beautiful.
And they know every summer when they go home that they have their special quilt that is on their bed that was made by their great grandmother. And I make sure to remind them that every year because I do think it's an important part of their history.
I get choked up over that stuff. Like it's just I just think family's so important, and it's really nice that you can still have those ties even when people are no longer around.
I think so too.
So okay, so now we can get to the modern stuff. And I'll stop being mushy now.
Oh, I love it. So the cool thing about quilts now is you can literally find one for anybody, right? You're seeing this color, this kind of rich gold color in fashion and design so much right now. And I love that I found a quilt in that. You know, you mentioned about, you know, the nights are getting a bit warmer, but this is a really great option to swap out. Now that it is getting warmer, get rid of the duvet or comforter and replace it with one of these. You know, maybe you had it at the foot of your bed all winter, but now this becomes your main blanket. Over sheets. I'm a sheet person. I know that's a big debate right now, but
it's a big debate.
It is. But this would just be really beautiful to add a little pattern and happy color to your bed, right?
Gorgeous.
Now, kids, there's always been quilt. You mentioned for your daughter, she has a quilt, right? And there's such a great option. What I love about quilts for kids is, you know, they become really fixated on dinosaurs or the ocean or mermaids or whatever, and some people want to kind of celebrate that in their bedroom and decorate with it. But you don't want to have to redo the entire thing when they stop loving that, right? So I love the idea of a quilt that has that theme on it. It can go on their bed. It makes the room feel special, makes it feel like it represents them. It's not a huge expense. And it's not something that you're going to have to spend a ton of money fixing when they stop liking that. And the cool thing about this one and a lot of the modern quilts that you'll find right now is that the other side is often a solid color. So this is almost like a watercolor pink on the reverse side of this. And so let's say that they stop loving seahorses. You just flip that over, and then you still get a couple more years out of it.
Right? I think it's lovely that you can have one side that's solid. I also think the ones you have on the wall are quite nice because these are very retro. They're very farmhouse.
And that's such a big look right now. And I love the scallop detailing on the edge of this one. Again, it's reversible with two patterns, which I think is really, really nice. And on the foot of a bed, or even, you know, in a basket by your sofa. Right? Or if you are outside by a fire or something like that, snuggling up in a quilt's really, really nice.
Absolutely. Okay, so you said there's a quilt for everyone.
There's a quilt for everyone. Even,
there's this one.
Right. I think a lot of people think that they're really feminine and girly and meant for women-only spaces, but that's not true at all.
Yeah.
You can definitely find them for guys, or even if you are just a person wanting a more masculine space.
Right.
I love this kind of washed gray denim look of this one with just that simple sewn detail on it and on the edge as well, and it's very masculine. It would work in a really modern space, which is great.
Yes.
And just adds that little extra dimension.
It is absolutely lovely. I love the colors, and I love the fact that you can actually get a quilt for absolutely anyone in your life. They're very contemporary looking, a lot of them, right? They don't all look very country.
Right.
Thank you, Sarah, for those gorgeous quilts, and a huge thanks to HomeSense for supplying all of them. They are beautiful.